All right, fantastic. So welcome to this little call, everyone. I have what would we say that you are for the project, Moty?
So I'm currently managing this project, this specific product. Managing it. I'm also in charge of its design.
Okay.
So
So just manager of the decentralized exchange node system with the feature of being able to trade on leverage as a decentralized exchange.
that's right.
What's the difference between a decentralized exchange and a swap? Is there any?
So in essence, a swap is kind of part of the decentralized exchange. It's just one single feature.
Right. So a swap is a little more basic. You're trading from one coin to another. I don't know. There's no charts and things like that in a swap. I see it's more basic from one to another swap. But in a trade, is there a difference between a swap and a trade?
So
Technically?
no, a swap essentially is a trade, right? You're giving something in exchange for something else, uh,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't necessarily need a chart. You don't necessarily need limit orders for it to qualify as a trade, but those features exist in the decentralized world, and they're very prominent. Mm,
Okay. So because Uniswap is very simple interface for me. It's like if I have some, I don't know, call it ETH, and then I want to swap it out for some XRP, for instance, I can go on there, set up, and connect my wallet to it, my decentralized wallet, and then I'll have a balance of ETH in my wallet, and I want to get some XRP, and then so I'll set up how much ETH I want to trade. I initiate that, and then I'll get XRP against my ETH, and there's a fee for that. Can you describe what happens there? Like what happens when I go to a decentralized exchange in
sure.
your technical perspective, I guess?
So there's a thing called like a pool, and usually within this pool, people will give out token A and token B. Token A might be your underlying ETH, and token B
Mm-hmm.
might be, USDC, USDT, and they lock it up in a pool. And this pool usually, what it does is it runs a program, smart contract.
Mm-hmm.
So this program is an automated market maker, and essentially what it'll do is it'll put your money to work. You don't have to do anything. And so Micah can come in and Micah can just, off of his phone, maybe off of his computer, uh, just get Ethereum and sell it for USDC. And who is the counterparty on the other side? It's a smart contract that holds everyone else's money. And that smart contract just gives out exactly how much Micah is asking for. This is a simple swap. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's not much to it. It's not. It's very, very primitive. If you want, I can share my screen.
Yeah, let's do that. So when you
Oh,
say smart contract, let me allow you to share
yeah.
first of all. Usually what I do is I sort of start and then layer up so that people can understand the basics of what happens here. So all of this data, like I offer up 10 ETH, for instance, and so that's information really. Information I have. ETH is sort of a source of information that I hold according to the entirety of ETH. I hold 10 of those units in a sense, and I can control and decide where they go. So I engage with this particular smart contract. We're looking at Uniswap now. And I let that system know through having the control of that ETH, say, hey, well, I want to put 10 ETH into this, and I'd like to receive, in this scenario here, USDC back. And then I imagine there's people all over the world, and some are saying, I have USDC and I'd like to get ETH back. Is this sort of what you would say too, Moty?
Yep, that's right. Essentially, when they enter this pool, they specify oftentimes what they want to receive, what they want to be trading. It's kind of like going in the real world to an exchange. You go to the exchange, and the exchange might say, we're offering dollars, we're offering euros, we're offering yen, and these are the exchange rates. And you, as a person, sees those exchange rates, and then you can say, oh, I like those exchange rates. Oh, I'm gonna go there. Same thing is happening.
How does it get the data on the exchange rate? I mean, USDC is pretty easy because it usually tracks right at $1, but the other tokens, and ETH has a price that's always changing. How does the decentralized exchange know how to, give that rate?
Very simple, actually. It's actual buyers and sellers in the market. What's happening in the back is just there's a certain weight of dollars and ETH, and unless you buy out a portion, it will never move to the upside, and unless you sell a portion, it'll never move to the downside. What's beautiful about the market is, because it's so liquid and there's so much money out here, if, for example, somebody goes on, I don't know, let's take this for example, right? Somebody goes on Coinbase. On Coinbase, it's trading right now is $2,237, right? So it's very, very close. Now, if at any point this price goes too high, somebody will go and they will arbitrage this. They will buy it on a decentralized exchange, send it over, arbitrage it, and the price will be the same. Just like any other exchange. If you see two exchanges in front of you, and then one exchange is, trading dollars against Turkish lira for one price, and the other one is for another, you're gonna arbitrage yourself because there's money to be made there. Now, then there's a different question. Okay, what's leading the market? And that's a completely different question. In our day and age, a lot of the time, actually, the decentralized exchange can lead some of these markets because we're beginning to become so liquid on the DEXs after FTX collapsed, after the Department of Justice took over Binance. There's a lot of uncertainty around centralized exchanges.
So there's a trend going towards decentralized exchanges that increases the the profits in that particular type of application. And so a lot of the developers now are going to that direction and building decentralized exchanges, having more options and various new features. And I imagine every time something's built, you learn a little bit more and they become better and better. I would imagine.
That's right. Okay. Also, we started out very, very primitive in the decentralized world. So back then, the amount of tools, they were just very minuscule. You asked me, Micah, how does it all work? Where is all the buying and selling? The pools are literally here. You can go, the same interface here. You just press on the pools, and You can select any two tokens and provide liquidity for them. So like if I want to provide and be a seller and a buyer and just capture some fees, I can do it here. And what I do is I provide on a decentralized exchange a range where I'm happy to be a buyer and a seller, providing liquidity of both ETH and USDC, as you can see here.
So you choose your range, and then you come in as a third party, and you say, in these trades, you can use my ETH and my USDC, and you lock that into the smart contract. And so when there is a trade there, then your liquidity is being used. So you're kind of like a bank in that situation. And then there's a fee that you charge for them using your liquidity. Is that correct?
That's correct. You
And
can see that,
liquidity is
yeah.
just another word for your money, in a sense.
You can see the fee rates that I'm happy to be in. And there are 4 different fee rates. You can offer your money for different fee rates. And how it works is very, very simple. If I select that, per every time somebody uses my money, if they use 10,000, 100,000, 1 million of it, they will pay 1% commission, or they can pay 0.30. You can select it, and it goes to me and to everyone else who are within this range.
Now, is it in that role, which is you're not a trader, you're considered sort of a liquidity provider, a money provider for the trades. Is there a way for you to lose in that role, or
There is a concept that is called impermanent loss, but it's a silly concept. This concept is basically if, for example, Micah had at this price point right now, 2000, what are we at? $2,240. If you are all in ETH, right?
Yeah.
And we went above my range, which is, $2,509. At this stage, if the price went there, I would be fully out of ETH because I sold all my liquidity between here. You see this price range.
Got it.
And then this what impermanent loss says is I would basically actually lose in value if I held all the way through, compared to Micah, who so if I provided liquidity and all of my ETH got sold, I would actually have less value than somebody who just held through. This can happen if it happened quickly and I didn't collect enough fees to mitigate this. Now, if the price did spend a lot of time in this area and then it breaks through, then it might be that I might actually have more money than Micah, who huddled through, and the price reached 2,509. It's called impermanent loss. It's not really losing money. It's not the right word. It's just that compared to someone who hodled, you have a loss, you could say. And that's all there is to it.
So I would say that, for some people, a basic understanding is that, a lot of us hold money in a bank account. And when our money is in the bank account, essentially it's held by the bank, and the bank treats it like their asset in a sense. And they play this game by lending money out to various, uses and make money on our money. But in this particular environment, when you're holding your Ethereums and your USDTs and your Bitcoins and all that, then you can be in that role of what a bank usually does, in a sense. So now that we've looked at this, let's talk about a little bit about our project. So, there's a lot going on here in just this screen. You're picking a range, you have a percentage that you're earning on a trade, and there's a lot of rules, a lot of things that have to happen for this to work. There's an underlying technology, and if I was to describe technology, I could just say, well, it's just lines of code. And to be able to make this entire thing work, is it true if I say you have to have a certain level of experience of people who are there to create something like this?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of math involved, a lot of very strong, solid programming foundation that you need to have. So as soon as you start creating smart contracts that just live there and everyone interacts with, and it's safe, requires a lot of experience, but also specific backgrounds, because this is coded in special languages, depending on the blockchain. So, it might be Solidity, it might be Rust, depending on what your blockchain you're coding. And you can't just, the issue right now, especially during bull markets, less so in bear markets, during bull markets, is that these type of developers are so rare to have, that you might be paying, sometimes from 200 all the way up to $800 per hour on such devs. So, the developers are rare. Developers are really rare, really hard to come by, that can build such products.
And would you define them as smart contract developers, or what would be the sort of for someone who's, if you're looking for someone for a team, what would you advertise?
Depends what you're looking for. So there's a lot of going on this page. There are icons, right? You see these icons, you see the way it's established. That would be designer. And then, designer might be put together a design, obviously guided by someone who just sits over the designer and puts everything in place. And then you have a front end who stitches this design with code. And then you might have a backend developer who puts together a system. And then you have a smart contract developer who interacts with the blockchain in the system. And then you have an auditor which audits the entire code. And then you might have, some junior developers helping them out. So yeah, you need a combination of everything, really. So you need some devs who are, easier to get, who are regular designers, as well as, standard backend devs who can set up servers and such. But then you also need the really smart guys, the smart contract developers, who are going to work with your mathematicians and put together a smart contract that makes sense, that works, interacts with all the systems that need to be interacted with. And it's like
So
a
it's
soccer
a
team.
yeah, I got you. So you need some strikers, you need midfielders, back, goalie, blah blah blah. Okay, so so our project then is in this particular category, DEX, Decentralized Exchange. Should we go look at what we're doing there?
Yeah, sure.
So this entails a decentralized exchange. It entails features in that exchange, but it also is something that's built on top of a node system, in a sense. Is that
That's
how
right.
you would define it?
That's right. So the way I would advise people to look at it is sort of, if you wanted to bet on any of the Web3 products that Miracle is releasing, you might want to participate in the node system and just buy nodes, and that would give you exposure to these products. So just as you would see like fees happening here, that would
Yeah,
be
and then
shared.
I would say, like you said, what's happening in the industry is there's a being more and more restricted on the centralized side. So there's some things that the consumer or the users or whatever you call them that want to do when it comes to activities in the market. And one of the things they want to do is they want to trade. A lot of people out there that love to buy and sell and experience profits from that, spend a few hours a day, some traders are, minute by minute, and some are day by day, and some are just investors to hold. And all of that is what this environment makes available for those people, right?
More than that, you have phone carriers now who use the internet, and it utilizes uh, these decentralized applications.
Okay.
You have it's much broader than that, and so it's very hard to define and say that it's strictly for traders.
Yeah. Okay.
There's so much more to that than just buying and selling, or even interacting with a single user. You can be
Mm-hmm.
interacting with a machine that offers you bandwidth, or you could be even selling your own bandwidth you're not using on your phone to AI systems who need constant reach access to the internet. And
Mm-hmm.
other people are writing prompts, and that AI system uses your bandwidth
Mm-hmm.
to look
So
for
you're
information.
you're describing use cases that could or will eventually, as we evolve our node system, you're saying there's a lot of uses that can happen that are fee-based, that can impact nodes as far as the earnings that are happening as we increase and develop more applications on top of the nodes. Is that sort of what you're?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So then this is one of many. One
Right.
of
This
many.
is one of many, one that is right now very hot, very popular, very sought after. Yeah.
Mhm. All right. So why don't you take us through this and let us sort of explain what's happening here.
Right. So this would be the front page that we're working on right now. Now bear in mind this is on Figma, so you guys are looking at the design, and you have
Yeah.
three main features here. You have what is called the leaderboard, then you have lending, and then leverage pools. So should I go through each one?
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Let's
right.
break it in.
So obviously for people who use Uniswap, for example, if they want to be buying and selling, they're essentially buying and selling against people who placed their funds on the pool. People who place their funds on the pool, they're called lenders. And so,
Mm.
we have a similar concept here. You have people who just lend out, and they're just interested in a flat fee. They're not interested in capturing something insane. They might be looking for per trade 0.30% or 1% per trade off, if anyone takes their money, and each trade they do, that they capture a very fixed, very, very safe amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have people who borrow this money and they use it to trade, to open and close positions and offer that liquidity. And our platform is very unique in the sense that it does something that nobody really offers over on concentrated liquidity pools. What is concentrated liquidity pools? This is exactly what we saw here. So if I want to come in and I want to place a range, this range, right? I want to place
Mm-hmm.
um, between, what is this here? Between $2,000. I want to be, and then I want to put like $3,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I can't take on leverage. I can only put in what I have in my account. And this account, for example, has only like 0.027 ETH.
Yeah.
And that's all I can put. That's like $16.
Mm-hmm.
And you know,
So
it's
if
not
you were
much.
you were a kind of a customer coming to this, then whatever you have to trade with is what you're sort of limited by.
Exactly. But here in our system, you can actually take up leverage up to 10 times. And now you're not trading within the range using, say, $100. Using 10 times leverage, you can actually trade up to $1,000, and it's really amazing system because my reward now is 10 times more. So instead of capturing 1% on $100 that I'm offering, I'm capturing 1% on $1,000,
Mm. Okay.
and that is a big
Obviously,
deal.
the benefit of that is if the token you buy increases by 10% against the trade that you started at, I guess you could say, then it doubles your actual principal minus the fee of using that extra money, extra capital.
That's right. What's also amazing is that I don't need to be necessarily biased towards a direction. And I'll give you an example. Say, for example, I put this range here, right? This is the range I want to offer my money at. Okay, so between here and here. Let's say the price within this range. Let's just do it this way. Say I'm gonna remove this. I put the range as this, right? This is the range that I'm willing to offer my my funds in. This is 2,400. Then you might say, okay, here we have like 2,080. And the current price is here, somewhere in the middle. I'm fine with not having any directional bias because actually every time anything happens within this range, I get paid because people are using my funds.
Okay.
And so with 10 times the size of my normal position, I actually get 10 times the fees as well.
Oh, wow.
So I can double my money even if it didn't go anywhere and just like spent a lot of time in the middle.
So you're speaking from the role of being a liquidity provider in this system versus what it would be in a normal, say, Uniswap environment.
Right. But Uniswap environment really is also liquidity provider provision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But were you saying that when people are using leverage, that if you're a liquidity provider there, that you can do more profits?
Right. That's right. You can do all sorts of different strategies. That's what I'm saying.
Mm.
So if you have, for example, your favorite coin and it's not going anywhere, but you want to offer that liquidity and you want to make money and you want to take on leverage, right? Because you're always going to be bullish that it's going to go up. It doesn't necessarily need to go up for you to make money. It can just, trade a lot of times between
Inside
different
of that.
people, and you can make even as much as, doubling or tripling sometimes the money without it having to go up. Now imagine if after that, all of this action, it does actually start going up. Not only have you captured large amount of fees here, but also you're enjoying the appreciation of the underlying token that you're holding. And so this is a really, really well balanced tool, allows you to do a lot of very interesting things.
Right. So just so that we can identify these different parts, you're going to have a buyer, you're going to have a seller, you're going to have a liquidity provider, and then you'll also have a system provider in a sense, which is the node owner. Could that be how to define all this?
Oftentimes, so a buyer, we call it a borrower, right? Because you're also borrowing if you're using leverage.
Right, buyer and borrower.
And then like the liquidity provider really is like a lender. He's lending out. So, this is used for leverage. So, unless you're using leverage as a buyer, you're a regular buyer. But as soon as you knocked up your leverage, you're essentially a borrower. Where are you borrowing your funds from? From the lenders that want to be safe. They want to lend out their money in a safe manner, capture really nice percentages. But really the biggest winners here are probably going to be the node owners because they're capturing a lot of different fees going on here and within this platform. Starting from, you know, basic fees that happen when people interact with the platform, all the way to when someone gets liquidated. There's fees happening there.
So explain liquidated.
Right. So essentially, when somebody takes up uh, leverage, right? If you take $1,000 position, but you've only offered up collateral of 100, it's 1:10, right? You're actually taking 10 times the size of what you have. And in order for systems, decentralized systems, well, even like non-decentralized systems, not to go bankrupt, what happens is the market will put a price where they will say, okay, if it gets there, we will close out your position, right? And so like, here's an example. This is a 10% move. And if it drops down, if I've provided $1,000, but I only have $100, at this price point, my losses will be more significant than my collateral. This is bankruptcy price. This is what is called bankruptcy price because this is a 10% move. And then the system would try to liquidate you, which means close your position somewhere. This is a liquidation price. This is a bankruptcy price, the liquidation price. They liquidate you before your bankruptcy so that there's enough funds to pay out for fees, to pay out all the other parties that are involved in providing this risk for the trader. And also profits, you know, some fees for liquidating for the platform. This would take place if, for example, price started falling very strongly, and then bam. And at this stage, the person who
it
is
forces a sale. Basically, it's nothing you can do. You've already hit that point, and then that's a loss. So I could be someone, for instance, I have 10,000, but I would rather go in with 100, trade for 1,000, and if I do get liquidated, I've lost 100. You know, I'm sitting with 10 grand. I'm okay, but it helps me to protect my funds. I could have that as a strategy. Am I correct in that?
That's right. There are, for many reasons, people use leverage even if they have the underlying money. So if you had $10,000, or if you'd like to take 10 times leverage and trade with $1,000, both people who hold these funds have the same loss at this price point. They both lost $1,000. The difference between using leverage and using spot meaning, you know, you just hold your ETH, for example, is both of these people, you know, have a loss, but the difference is that you're forced out of your position, never to recoup your loss with leverage. Whereas just holding the funds, you know, you can wait until the market goes back up.
Yeah. Got it. So there, that also helps. Sometimes people hold on too long and end up losing more because they, you know, they didn't know when to quit, so to speak. So this is interesting because when we first talked, it was a long time ago. This is before you actually showed me this, and you were saying there's a huge demand out there for this in the decentralized space. You know, if there was such a tool, there would be, you know, a lot of people who would want to use it. So bringing this to the market, just from what you're saying, first of all, it opens internationally. There's no place on the planet that you can't be, except for maybe a couple of places that you can't do this. So it allows for a worldwide launch instantly because it's a DEX. It's not a centralized place. So the access to the customer is unlimited. And just so everyone knows, I know that the investment in this is hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to, build something like this. What is it really? Is it, at this point, how many are working on this project? How many people are working on this project?
So it's on and off. So we have people that we pay by the hourly salary for simple things like design work, or we might outsource some very simple tasks. But the core developers, we have well, right now we have 9 actually core full-time staff. But it ranges between 9 and 11, sometimes and 12, depending on how many tasks we want to finish up quickly. So we delegate small things. So yeah, that's the number from.
Could you off the top of your head say how many lines of code it's going to take to finish and how many hours of work is it really?
Well, lines of code, I didn't I didn't count because it's definitely not something that is I'd like to look at right now. It gets me depressed. There's a lot more work to do. A lot of things to get done.
Yeah. Are you
And
on track? I think we initially said 4 to 6 months. Was that it? Or...
yeah, we're pretty much on track. So all of this functionality between selecting the leverage, selecting the values, adjusting them and entering position, and the position being created in the blockchain, that functionality we just finished yesterday. Yesterday
Oh,
at
cool.
nighttime,
Oh.
we finished it. We right now are working on the graph for it to be a live graph quoting the underlying price and for a range to be selected. So we're working right now on the GUI
And
graphics.
these are initial visual creations that can't change. It could look different when it launches. This is work in
So
progress.
so even now it doesn't really look like this
Yeah.
one to one. We already changed some stuff. I'm showing this for
Yeah, just
because
for example.
yeah.
There's another feature that I thought was really cool.
All right.
Where
Yeah.
you can someone's trading and you can mimic their trades or whatever.
Yeah. So we have a thing that is called the leaderboard. This is sort of like the leaderboard. You might have someone anonymous. You don't know who they are. And it shows that the pair that they're trading on, and it shows the leverage that they use, and then they it shows the percentage gain in
Okay.
24 hours, and you can just press and you can copy his position, and then you can apply it yourself and interact
So
with it.
how does that happen? Like from what you're thinking it's going to be, um, I if I press and say, hey, I want to copy this person's position, when that person initiates a trade, does it automatically pick that up and do it at the same time, or does it do it right after, or how does that work?
So these trades, they're open until you forcefully close the position here. For
Yeah.
example, I entered here at certain price, and we know what they entered, and we can tell their percentage gain, and we broadcast it. And any user can just press and open that same position
Got it.
and be in that position. Now, the issue sometimes what can happen is that if you have too many people in a certain position,
It could affect the trade, right?
it dilutes the profits that you can squeeze out of that,
Oh, okay.
unless the market is really moving. So it depends on the condition, but it's a very cute feature, very, very interesting feature that we
Yeah,
think is very useful.
very cool. Okay. I think that's it, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All
I know
right,
you've been
thank you very
working
much, man.
hard at this, and we all look forward to when we launch this thing. I think it's going to be a beast. We didn't really talk about volumes and everything, but a while back we did, and I know we were looking at certain volumes on decentralized exchanges and things like that. What's happening now that we're sort of entering into a bull market? Is volumes on decentralized exchanges, have they increased? If so, how much are they increasing? And what's the difference between bear and bull, I guess you could say?
So, they definitely increase. So at certain days, we're averaging $1 billion on, a single DEX, which is
Oh
pretty
wow.
insane. When things are going really wacky, everything's going up or down, you might have three different exchanges doing 1 billion volume on some of the networks. You see $674 million in Uniswap version through 3. DYDX is doing 645. They're a perpetual. They're a very, very interesting product
Wow,
as well.
okay, that's a new one. I haven't seen.
Orca is doing right now 270. Actually, 2 weeks ago they were doing $1 billion. So it fluctuates, but definitely the trend is overwhelmingly up.
Yeah, I can tell.
But also the difference between a DEX and a centralized exchange is, Micah, we worked with maybe 5 different market makers and different projects. When
Mm-hmm.
you have a project and you want to launch it, you need to get a market maker to offer bid and asks, to offer buys and sells.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, people who go on the exchange, they can't buy or sell it against anyone.
Mm-hmm.
These
Mm-hmm.
people are called market makers. And you might go on and see, okay, uh, let's just give you an example, right? Just to put it perspective, you might have all these coins, and you're looking at the volume of any of these coins, Cardano, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and we see that the volume here is 84 million, right, on Binance, and you have 20 million here, 18 million.
Mm-hmm.
Most of this volume is actually spoofed, or it's market makers trading against themselves to rack up these numbers. It's very
Mm-hmm.
hard to say how much of that is organic volume.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
On decentralized exchange, you can't spoof that, because here they sort of have their own playbox. They
Yeah.
have their own tools, and it's a closed environment, and nobody can ever tell whether they're trading against themselves to keep the volume high. And
Mm.
there's a lot of incentives for keeping the volume high
Mm-hmm.
that are given by the exchanges themselves. They actually, they gamify it. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's hard to say how much uh, from, we see that, okay, well, Binance did just today 13 billion. We don't know how much of that is real. Maybe out of all of that, 2 billion is real. And so, like, okay, how far away are we from the decentralized world compared to centralized world in terms of volume?
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at it and you might say, okay, well, Uniswap today did 760 million. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Binance did 14 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I might say, and I would say to that, out of the 14 billion, I wouldn't expect even, you know, I would only expect 2 billion of that to be, real volume.
Mm. Okay.
And then you're saying, okay, maybe, then, we're almost a fifth, almost a sixth of
Yeah.
that volume on a DEX where we're doing that. And that's pretty incredible.
I mean, I can see how decentralized are going to catch up to centralized,
Hmm.
and
It
they'll
used to
get
be
better and better options there as well.
It used to be 100th, and then it used to be like, 150th, and now we're talking about a sixth, sometimes a third of the
Yeah.
centralized volume. It's pretty insane numbers. The way I see centralized exchanges surviving is just on-ramp money. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to put your dollars, your physical dollars, and receive electronic dollars,
Mm-hmm.
anything
Mm-hmm.
in like Tether or USDC, that's what a centralized exchange is going to be in the future. That's all. All
Mm-hmm.
trading most likely is going to happen on DEXs. It's just cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
It's better. You don't have to deal with all the dirt that that centralized exchanges make you go through.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're seeing that. We're also seeing that trending towards decentralized wallets engaging with centralized exchanges as well.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Thank you so much, Moty. Appreciate it. We'll stop the recording here and 1 second.